So welcome tonight to another yoga practice. Tonight's practice is a yin practice, and the intention behind tonight's practice is to boost our immune system, to open up our energy lines and just go in deeply. So we're going to start in a rock pose, geisha style, sitting on the heels. If sitting on the heels isn't great for your knees or your ankles, you can take a block or two and place it between the ankles and just sit down that way. That way you take the pressure off the knees. So whichever version works best for you, we're just going to allow ourselves just to take a moment to arrive. So you can close the eyes, take a couple intentional rounds of breath, just allowing your mind and your body to settle in, to let go of your day, let go of whatever part of your day you may be at right now. And just tuning in to notice how you feel, not to bring any judgment to it, but just to bring some awareness. And allowing yourself to soften, so softening through the mind, softening through the face and the jaw, softening through the shoulders and the arms, letting go of any tension in the belly, and just giving ourselves a moment or two just to arrive here. There's no need to force the breath, but just smooth out the edges of the breath. Allowing the inhale to fill the belly right down to the bottom and softening on your exhale. And when you're ready, take a nice inhale and a nice exhale through the mouth. You can open the eyes and arrive. So we're going to start with some breath work here. So we're going to start with Nadi Shodhana, which is alternate nostril breathing. And to do, we're going to use our hand to manipulate our nose. So taking your right hand and bringing down the 3 fingers in between. So just having your baby finger and your thumb exposed here. And we'll take a nice inhale through the nose to begin, and a full exhale through the nose. Then you're gonna block that left nostril. Take a nice inhale through the right nostril, block the right, and exhale through the left. Inhale through the left, block the left, exhale through the right. Inhale through the right, block the right, exhale through the left. Inhale left, block the left, exhale through the right. Inhale through the right, block the right, exhale through the left. Inhale through the left, block the left, exhale through the right. Inhale through the right, block the right, exhale through the left. 3 more rounds. Inhale through the left, block the left, exhale through the right. Inhale through the right, block the right, exhale through the left. Inhale through the left, block the left, exhale through the right. Inhale through the right, block the right, exhale through the left. Inhale through the left, block the left, exhale through the right. 1 final round of breath here. As you inhale through the right, release the hand and full exhale through the mouth. Just take a round of breath here, just to neutralize, find that balance. So alternate nostril breathing helps balance out the two energy channels, your left and right side of the body. So a really great thing to do when you're feeling overwhelmed, when you're tired, when you're anxious, a wonderful way to balance both sides of your body. So from here, we're going to stay in our rock pose. So at this time, if the knees are starting to talk to you, you can always grab those blocks and place them under if they're not already there. So I'll just show you from the side here. From our rock pose, we're going to come into a half Nelson with our arms. So taking that right arm over the right shoulder, taking the left hand up the small of the back to reach for that right hand. If connecting does not happen, that's okay. If you have a strap, you can use a strap. Otherwise, you just reach to where you can, no problem. So as we sit here, we're trying to open up the shoulder. We're trying to let go of any tension along the neck here and just allow this stretch to happen through the inner shoulder, the front of the right chest, and just allowing yourself to soften at the same time. Even though it's a little bit more yang-like for the upper body, we do want to remind ourselves to soften. So soften through the face and the neck and the shoulders. Even trying to relax the hands as much as you can in this pose. And just enjoy this nice chest opener. Just playing with that edge, maybe pulling that right elbow back a little bit, and just finding that sweet spot where it's not too much, but it's not too little. You want to be just outside your comfort zone. And just softening through the belly here and allowing your inhale to fill down to the bottom of the belly. And as you exhale, just let go, find some opening through the shoulder, through the chest. And don't be shy to make any moves. So if you're feeling like you're building up tension in the neck in any way, make some movement. It's no problem. I know we talk about a lot the principles of Yin Yoga and one of them being stillness, but it's always okay to move if something doesn't feel right. It's always okay to move if it feels like you could find further opening by making a small movement, especially when it comes to our neck. Sometimes we transplant stress, so if we're trying to release stress from one area, sometimes it just places itself in another part of the body. And we're not trying to do that. We're trying to eliminate some of those layers of stress altogether. So we're just here for 3 more rounds of breath. And at any time, if it becomes too much, the time period is no problem. And just slowly let go and release the pose when you need to. We'll take 1 more round of breath here. And then just slowly release and really enjoy this release. Find a little rebound movement. Allow that fascia to find a new, better position. And then when you're ready, we're going to do the other side. So same thing, that left hand comes over the left shoulder, the right hand goes up, trying to meet the hands together. And you'll notice you're probably very different on one side than the other, and that's completely normal. We use either side of our body very differently. If you're right-handed, this side is probably tighter for you. It is for me anyways. So again, just doing your best. If the hands don't meet, you can always use a strap or just allowing the fingers to reach to where they do on your back, and that is just fine. So now that we've changed position, we again need to remind ourselves to soften and let go. So beginning with the face and just allow it to soften, let go through the jaw, even softening as much as you can through that neck and the shoulders. Softening through the fingers as much as you can. And then the belly, let it go. Just let it hang off your body just as a baby would. Very much like a hammock hanging off. That way we give our space for our inhale to fill all the way down to the bottom of the belly. And we can soften on the exhale. So many of us, including myself, as we get older, we become chest breathers. So we're breathing only into about a third of our capacity with our inhales. And it's harder for the body. We have to take more breath throughout the day just to support all our systems. So by learning and practicing full belly breath, the breath becomes more useful to the body. It becomes more oxygenated as it goes down and becomes friendlier to the body. And then the systems of our body don't have to work as hard. So again, maybe the edges move, maybe you can pull that left elbow back a little bit and just enjoy this nice chest opener, noticing that a bit of my head is cut off in this video. So we're here for about another 5 rounds of breath if it serves you. At any time, if you need to release, please just do it gently. Those shoulders are going to be vulnerable. Our shoulders, we carry a tremendous amount of stress. That's the storage container for stress, for anxiety, for worry. So just try to let go of any of those emotions, or even if you just feel it as physical tension, try to remove some of those layers of built up tension, built up emotion. We'll take one more round of breath here. And then really slowly enjoy the release for what it is, noticing the sensations, noticing the effects of that pose still happening in the body. And just making any little movement that feels right for you. And then again, the knees and the legs might feel pretty achy and sore right now, completely normal. So just slowly coming up off the feet. If you have blocks there, remove the blocks and just give the tops of the feet a little tap. Just bringing some fresh blood back into those ankles, those feet, and some sensation back. We're gonna come to sit on our seat here in a cross-legged position. I'm gonna put my right foot in front of my left here just for a simple cross-legged. Nice. And from here, we're just going to release some of that tension in the neck a little bit further just by doing some neck rolls. So just going from shoulder to shoulder here. Going as slow as you need to feel the sensation. Just notice maybe there's a spot that just needs to be held for a moment. You can even change the angle of the chin to really go deeper into that spot. Just listening to your body and having the courage to listen to it and make the stretch what it is for you, what you need. Now there's no harm in bringing the full circle if that feels good for you. Some people don't like it for a couple of reasons. One, if you've had any neck issue, you want to stay with the half moon. And some people don't like that sort of like dizziness that comes from it sometimes. By pinching the nerve that runs up the back of the neck, sometimes that sort of pinches off the blood flow and can make us feel a little dizzy. And the next time that your right ear is at your right shoulder, just hold it there and give it a nice stretch. You can even find an angle that works for you, whether it feels good to bring the chin down a bit, or maybe it feels better to bring the gaze at. Maybe that's where you need it tonight. Just holding where you need it. If you'd like to go a little deeper, you can take that left hand out to the side, just increasing that stretch along the side of the left neck. The fingers can be on the floor or they can be floating. Just a personal preference there. You can take the right hand too and just place it on top of the head. It's not a pulling down, it's just using the weight of the hand just to deepen the stretch for yourself. Again, making any adjustments, whether the chin needs to come down, maybe that feels good, maybe up to the sky. Just enjoying this nice release here. And then with very little effort, we're gonna use that right hand and just glide it to the other side of our head and place our head back up straight. Nice job. We'll come back to those half moon circles. So just beginning with the half moon a couple times, and then if it feels right for you, you can do the full circle, no problem. Just of course, always honoring your body. If you have any injury there, or if it just doesn't feel great, stay with the half moon. Nice. Again, pausing if you need to. If you feel a spot that's like, oh goodness, that feels super tight, hold it there for a moment. Have the release happen. Maybe as the release happens, you change the angle a little bit in that spot and further the release. And then the next time that your left ear is over at the left shoulder, just hold there. Find that right angle for you, that sweet spot. You can extend that right arm out this time, whether it floats or the fingers on the mat, no problem. Take a round of breath, remembering to let go through the belly. Then you can take that left hand and just allow the weight again to be on top of the head, just deepening that release along the right side of the neck. Again, maybe you need to change the angle, find a new spot that needs to let go. And use that breath. So I always inhale and I bring that inhale into the spot that I'm feeling the tension in the neck. And as I exhale, I let go, I soften, I release that tension. Nice job. With very little effort again, we're gonna just guide our hand around to the left side of the head and place it back on top. Nice job. Then from here, we're gonna take a nice inhale and raise those arms overhead. And we're just gonna find a nice forward fold here over that cross-legged position. You can always use some blocks if that feels good. You can put maybe elbows on a block. You can put a forehead on a block. Wherever feels right for you. The hands could be out nice and long. And just enjoying this release and let go and soften. So a forward fold is a wonderful thing to do in the evening, a wonderful thing to do when you're feeling anxious or overwhelmed. Forward folding just calms the mind, calms the body. It allows us to trigger into our rest and digest system. So the rest and digest nervous system is the side that we want to be living in. But unfortunately, a lot of us, we're living, even sometimes when we don't even know it, we're in that fight and flight side of the nervous system. And the fight and flight, it's there for a reason, for emergencies, if you're physically in harm and you need to get away from something, or if you are cut in some way, the fight and flight will kick in. It will thicken the blood, it will speed the heart rate up. These things are all important if you hurt yourself, right? So you're not spilling blood at a fast or normal rate, it slows it down for you. But it triggers stress in the body. And we know that stress is the #1 provoker for almost all disease and ailments. So to be staying in that state of stress is really hard on the mind and the body. So the more that we can take time for ourselves just to pause, to trigger that rest and digest side of our nervous system, the healthier we are. When we're in that rest and digest, the body exerts all the good hormones and supports and heals and detoxifies. So we'll just take 3 more rounds of breath here. Just maybe that edges move, maybe you've come down a little bit further over time. And just enjoy the last 3 rounds of breath here. And then just slowly bring yourself back up, one vertebrae at a time. If you have a block, just move it out to the side and just extend those legs out for a moment. Give them a little stretch, maybe a wiggle. You could bring your hands behind you. You could even bend the knees and just do some windshield wipers just to release through the legs, through the hips. And then we're gonna come back into that cross-legged, but this time with that left foot in front. And again, we're gonna take that nice inhale, raise those arms overhead and fold forward again. Just to your degree, using blocks where they feel nice and supported for you. And again, just remind yourself to settle in, to let go. You can bow that head forward and just release. And just remembering the 3 principles of Yin Yoga. The first principle of Yin Yoga is being just finding yourself in that pose, finding what we call that first edge. So where you feel something, but it's not too much. You're just outside your comfort zone. You're feeling the stretch. It may be uncomfortable, but there's no pain. And just playing that edge as time goes on, as we hold these poses for 3, 4, 5 minutes, maybe that edge moves. Maybe you find some opening and you come a little bit deeper in the pose. So the second principle is finding stillness in the pose. And we sort of touched on that earlier, that yes, we want to find that stillness, that pause, that place of awareness where we can just be, that we can let go through the mind and slow the thoughts. But it's always okay to move if something doesn't feel right. Maybe right now, maybe the ankle bone's digging in. So make an adjustment, make it feel good. Maybe put a blanket or fold your mat out and take away that sort of, that annoying position that you may have. And it's always okay to move if you feel like you need to go deeper into the pose. If that edge has moved, follow the edge. It's also okay to move if you need to back up from that edge. Over time, sometimes it becomes too much. So we always want to be in that Goldilocks zone, that medium held stretch. And the third principle of Yin Yoga is time. And that often is the hardest for us. It's why so many of us do practices to a video for someone else to set the time for us. Or often one of the reasons why we go to a yoga practice. So someone else can guide it. But time is really what we want. Time is where the opening happens. So after about 90 seconds or so in a stretch, in a pose, that's when the soft tissue start triggering in. So your fascia, your connective tissue, the ligaments, the tendons, they start to feel supported and willing to open up. The beginning of the stretch, that's when the muscle, the more dominant tissue, takes the stretch. So the muscle will take it first, and after about 90 seconds, we start going deeper into the areas that we're trying to open up in Yin Yoga, the soft tissues of the body. So we'll just take 3 more rounds of breath here, wherever you're at. Always knowing if you've come out already, that is okay. You can always just find a rebound or find some stillness. We'll take 1 more round of breath here. And then just slowly bring ourselves back up, removing any blocks out of the way and bringing those legs out in front 1 more time and just lean back. Bring a little movement if that feels right. Maybe some windshield wipers. And then coming down to lie on our mat. We're going to bring ourselves onto our back and we're going to come into a floating cow. So I'm going to cross that right knee over the left to begin with, and then bring those knees in towards your chest. I'm going to reach for my feet. I typically like grabbing the outside of my feet, But it could be any way. You could be over top of the feet to the outside of the feet. It could be underneath. It could be grabbing big toes. If you feel like it's a big stretch, you can always take a block, place it under your head, and gives you a little bit more space for those shoulders and arms to hold onto the feet. Maybe it feels better to hold the ankles, and that's okay. There's real no right or wrong in Yin Yoga. We're really just trying to get into those soft tissues. We're trying to give ourselves a pause. We're trying to let go of tension, physical tension. We're trying to let go of emotional baggage that no longer serves us. So just knowing sort of the objects or the goals of Yin Yoga, and knowing that you have the freedom to make the pose what it is for you. So if the legs slide a little bit on you here and you're floating cow pose, knowing that's okay, there's no problem. If for some reason a pose doesn't work for you altogether, that's okay. Make a variation. Try, to find a stretch that's similar, that triggers into the hips here. Just doing what works for you. Again, just reminding yourself to soften. I know I say this a lot. I say it a lot in my classes. As we come to each pose, I often just remind to let go and soften. And it's just human nature. It's just our human nature to sort of tense up again. We're holding this pose. Sometimes it can be intense. So we often sort of seize up our muscles, seize up through the joints. So just remind yourself here, definitely you want to release through the jaw here. You want to release through the shoulders, just allow them to soften the arms, and even softening the hands as much as you can, even though you're holding on to those ankles or those feet. Just trying to allow the pose to be into those hips. Primarily, most likely you're feeling in that right hip, the outer hip, into the right hip socket. So just being there and just using that breath force, that life force, to further let go of the tension that you're feeling. The more that you can keep that mind connected to the breath, the more present you can be. Following your breath is the strongest tool we have to practice presence, being truly in the moment. So it's normal that your mind is going to wander. That's the nature of the mind. But it's the practice of bringing it back to the here and now. Not worrying about what has already happened in your day, and not worrying about what may happen later on in your day. All we know is right here, right now. So enjoy the here and now. Enjoy the sensations that are happening in your body. Enjoy the opening and the space that you're creating in your body and your mind. And just be with those sensations. Don't worry about thinking. We'll just take 3 more rounds of breath here. Again, if any time it's too much, come out, no problem. These time frames are just guidelines. Just listening to your body. And then just slowly releasing those hands from those feet, uncrossing that right leg, and just give the legs a little extension here, allowing the hips to release, allowing some fresh blood back into those feet again. Maybe even the hands overhead feel good, or maybe those windshield wipers. Then when you're ready, we'll just align again on the center of our mat, and we'll cross our left knee over the right this time. Bringing our knees in towards our chest, our head towards our knees as we reach for whatever part of the foot that works for you, knowing there's no right or wrong. allowing the feet, the legs to sort of slide into that sweet spot for you for floating cow. Again, if it's too much of a reach, use a block underneath the head and then put the head back down on the block, okay? And then settling in. So again, starting in that face and particularly the jaw. The jaw and the hips have a direct connection. So when we are stretching our hips, just like the shoulders, it can be intense. And just like our shoulders, our hips are a juncture for emotion as well. But not like our shoulders. Our shoulders, that's where we keep our anxiety and our fear and our worry. In our hips, that's where we keep our anger, our frustration, our disappointment, our jealousy, sort of all those sort of dirty, heavy emotions. And when you think about when you're angry, what do first? We often clench the jaw. So when we stretch, we often clench the jaw. So really being mindful whenever you're in a hip stretch, especially an intense one like floating cow, that you just remind yourself to soften the jaw and let go, so we're not sort of transplanting that stress from the hip into the jaw or into the neck. Just allowing the tension and the emotion to leave the physical body completely. So again, softening through the neck and the shoulders, letting go through the arms, and softening the belly. Bringing your focus and your intention back to that breath. And just really use it as an anchor to keep you in that present moment, to keep you connected with the physical dimension of who you are. We often think we're just our thoughts, but we're more than that. We're the awareness before our thoughts. So just try to be with that awareness that maybe the thought has drifted away. And when you notice that, you're with the awareness. So just bring it back to the moment, bring it back to your breath. Make that connection with the hip and really visualize that tension leaving the hip socket, and just melting into the ground. And just giving your body more space, giving your hip more space for emotion that may come up in days or weeks to come. And we'll take 3 final rounds of breath here on this side. Again, coming out whenever you need to, otherwise just enjoying the last 2 rounds of breath here. And then again, nice and slow, enjoy the release, enjoy the sensations that are coming up in that hip, the legs, the feet, maybe extending the legs long, maybe reaching the arms overhead for a nice stretch. And then when you're ready, we're going to come into a nice twist here. So we're going to open up our arms wide like an airplane, with the palms down for support. I'm going to lift up my seat and move it over to the right side. I'm going to bring those knees back towards my chest and then allow them to fall over to the right side. And just keeping them stacked. If they sort of slide, let them slide. If you need any support between the legs or underneath the legs, if that feels better, just use a block or whatever you have. And once you come into this sort of gentle twist, just being mindful that you're trying to keep that left shoulder on the mat as well. You can bring the gaze away from the bent knees if that feels right. You can also bring that left arm still on the floor up to a 45-degree angle. The palms can now turn up to the sky in that pose of surrender now that we've come in and made our twist happen. If it feels better, you can always hold on to that top leg with the right hand. That often can feel nice. So again, just settling in and allowing yourself to arrive, allowing your body to accept the twist. And just enjoy the pose for what this is. So we're giving a nice little twist through the spine. We're also giving a nice twist to all our organs, our abdominal organs. So it's like sort of wringing them out. So I'm putting this twist into them and wringing out any toxins. And when we come out of this pose, we allow fresh blood to come back in. Twisting is always really nice too for any digestive issues. So giving the intestines a nice little twist can help digestion. So I often include a twisting before bed, and it just helps to allow any last food to go through the intestines before bed. So this pose should feel really great. This one shouldn't feel uncomfortable in any way. This should just feel like a big sigh, like a ah. This one will calm the mind. This one will certainly allow yourself to be in that parasympathetic nervous system. That's the rest and digest. That's the one that slows down your heart rate. That's the side that encourages the blood to thin, encourages the body to rebuild, to restore, detoxify, rejuvenate, all those things that just feel like a big sigh. So when we're in that rest and digest, we're just completely supporting our body on all dimensions. So in another practice, I will do sort of the 6 dimensions of who we are. Not only are we physical body, but we're an energy body. We have a heart body. We have a mind. And so another practice will go into all the dimensions and how we need to support all levels of who we are. So we'll just take 3 more final rounds of breath here on this side. Just enjoying the twists, enjoying the connection with our breath, and just enjoying the awareness of being present. And then we're just going to slowly, in your own time, bring ourselves back to the center of our mat, and just give yourself a moment just to rebound, whether extending the legs, bringing the arms alongside to let go through the shoulders, or maybe the windshield wipers feel good. Lots of people like to do that as their rebound. And I should say others love just to rebound in stillness. And we'll do another class too later on where we just, after every pose, find stillness for a minute and notice the sensations. And that can be a beautiful practice as well. So let's go ahead and find the center of our mat again, and we'll line up for the other side. So just opening up those arms like an airplane with the palms down to begin, just to support ourselves as we lift up our seat and bring our seat over to the right side. Bringing those knees towards the chest, and then just allow them to fall over to the left side here. Now that we're in our position, the palms can come up to the sky. The gaze, if it feels right for the neck, can look away from the knees. You can slide that arm up to a 45-degree angle, still supported on the floor. That just gets a little bit deeper into the armpit to the front of the right chest there. You can close the eyes and just really settle into this pose. You can use that left hand to hold that top right knee if that feels right. And just allow those feet to slide where they need to slide, shoving a block underneath the legs or between the legs if need be. And never view your block as a crutch of any manner. It's a tool to support us, just like we use computers to support our business, or we use a car to get us from A to B. It's a tool. It's a wonderful thing to have if you have blocks, but you can always use blankets or a towel in the place or the lieu of.
So again, if the eyes are closed, just tuning back into that breath and really enjoying yourself to be in that awareness, being present in the moment, knowing that just by being in that rest and digest, that parasympathetic nervous system, knowing what support you're bringing to so many dimensions of who you are. So to the mind slows down, the thoughts, those monkey thoughts slow down, the stress and anxiety can leave the thought. In the physical body, the rest and digest nervous system sends signals down what's called the vagus nerve. So the vagus nerve runs from the brain stem all the way down to your colon, and it's like a highway of information for the body. And the nervous system sends information in cells down that line. And when we're in the rest and digest, it's sending signals to repair, to rejuvenate, all through those white blood cells. And so it's just a beautiful thing, just knowing that just being here in this twist, we're just supporting that physical body. We're also supporting our energy body. So through this nice twist, we're stimulating our energy lines. So if there's any kinks, like a garden hose kink in one of our energy lines, it's stretching that out and making it more efficient for energy to flow more freely through the body and through all our major organs. Also a system of information for our body. So the more you can appreciate what stillness can do for us, I think it becomes empowering. You know, we're in a world of go, go, go. And so to have these moments of pause, especially maybe in the time right now when it's sort of forced on us in so many ways, just really embracing it, trying not to fight that, and just enjoy these times that we have to pause and really heal our body, make it stronger for when the to-do and the go, go, go comes back. And also supports us. So the more we practice this rest and digest, the more we can take that with us off the mat. So if we're in traffic or in a high stress situation, we're more likely to be able to stay in that rest and digest and be in a better place for ourselves, for who we are, opposed to being in that fight and flight, that very stressful, where in that situation, the body goes into a state of stress, and that adds toxins to the body, it adds stress. So we'll just take 3 more rounds of breath here, enjoying this twist, enjoying the moment, enjoying the awareness. And then just in your own time, no rush at all, just slowly bringing back one leg at a time, finding the center of your mat, bringing those arms alongside, those legs can extend out. And again, maybe it's stillness for a moment, maybe it's windshield wipers, or maybe it's hugging the knees in, okay? Just really doing what feels right for you. And then we're gonna set up for our final pose of Savasana tonight. So traditionally Savasana is done lying on our back with our feet and our legs sort of at a 45-degree angle, splayed out. Our palms to the sky. This is the pose of surrender. Now, if this is too much for the lower spine, a great little trick is you take those blocks or blanket, whatever you have with you, and you place them behind the backs of the knees. That will ease up the pressure on the lower spine. If that's still not enough, you can always bend your knees and just allow your knees to knock together, open up your feet wide. And still, if on the back is not right for you, you can always find a fetal position or even on your belly. So just taking a moment or two to make any adjustments. So maybe it's tucking the shoulders under, maybe it's taking a nice swallow, maybe it's rolling the head from side to side. whatever it is for you, just taking a moment or two to find an extremely comfortable, allowing position for yourself. And we'll just take a couple minutes here in our final pose, probably the most important pose that we can do for ourselves in any given day, is just to completely rebound, to completely find stillness, and just allowing ourselves to be. And we do this by just allowing the feet to splay out to the side. We allow the legs to be supported by the earth underneath us. We soften through the knees. We relax the hip bones. We soften the belly. Let go of any tension that you may feel through the belly. Just allowing your breath to come back to a natural state. Relax through the chest and the shoulders. Allow the arms to be heavy. And just notice for a moment the sensations in the hands. Notice the sensations through the fingers and the palms. Bringing your awareness into the neck and just allow it to soften and let go. Release the jaw. Make a little space between the upper and the lower teeth. You can even rest the tongue on the back of the lower teeth. Allowing the eyelids to become heavier. And just softening that forehead. And then finally releasing the brain. Just allow it to fall to the back of the skull. And just to yourself, giving yourself permission for the last minute here just to be fully relaxed, with a feeling of security, a feeling of being supported, and just allowing the sensations of who you are to be there. Allowing yourself just to be. And then just give your toes and your fingers a little wiggle and just bringing the awareness back into the physical body. Bringing some awareness to the breath by taking a nice inhale through the nose and a big sigh exhale through the mouth. You can bring the arms overhead and just give your body a good full body stretch here. You could bring those knees in towards the chest, give them a nice hug. You can even roll a little bit from side to side. And then when you're ready, just rolling on to your side in that fetal position. Take a round or two of breath in that fetal position, just allowing yourself to transition. And then when you're ready, just make your way up into an easy sitting pose. For me, that's a nice cross-legged. If it serves you, you can bring your palms together and your hands at heart center. You can close the eyes and bow the chin down. And just take a moment to notice one last time how you feel. What is the
sensations that you feel in your body and your mind. Maybe even turn up the sides of your mouth and give yourself a little smile. And thank yourself for joining in the practice. And I truly thank you for your practice. I hope it nourished your mind, your body, and your spirit. Namaste.